You do not start at number one. You start as paperwork, a face in a folder, a body attached to a rumor, a name misspelled by people who barely care yet. You still think there is space to breathe, still think this thing is temporary, a bad season, a storm you can outrun by changing motels, burner numbers, haircuts, states. You still believe distance is freedom. It is not. Distance is just expensive. Every rank on that list is not fame. It is subtraction, piece by piece, door by door, bed by bed. By the time you reach the top, your life is not bigger. It is microscopic. Your whole world fits inside one locked room and still feels overcrowded. Level 10, barely worth the ink. At this level, you are not a legend. You are inventory. Your face sits near the bottom where most people will never scroll. A grainy photo, old charges, a reward number that sounds large to civilians and laughable to anyone who understands how fast fear burns through cash. The day-to-day is pathetic. Cheap rooms, bad food, no routine. You wake up already tired because sleep is a shallow puddle now. Every knock sounds personal. Every siren sounds local. You keep telling yourself they are after bigger names, bigger monsters. You are background noise. That illusion keeps you alive for a while. Psychological toll, low-grade panic that never clocks out. Your nervous system becomes a smoke alarm that cannot tell the difference between burnt toast and a house fire. Financial cost, everything. Work dries up. Old money gets frozen, seized, watched, or turned toxic. Friends do not want your cash. They do not want your name near their rent, their phone, their children. You spend more to exist than you ever did to live, and that is the first joke. You thought the list measured danger. It really measures how expensive it is to keep pretending you are still a person. Level 9. Your name starts traveling faster than you. Now people have heard of you. Not everyone. Just enough. Enough for a cashier to stare half a second too long. Enough for a neighbor to pretend not to notice your face and then remember it all night. Enough for old associates to stop answering because you are no longer a contact. You are weather, bad weather, the kind that tears roofs off innocent houses. You cannot settle anywhere. You cannot trust anyone who seems too calm around you. Calm is suspicious now. Cheap generosity is suspicious. Sudden loyalty is suspicious. Anyone who says not to worry is either stupid or hungry. The reward money starts working like poison in other people's bloodstream. It gives them ideas. Family members do math. Old friends develop patriotism. Casual acquaintances begin acting like amateur bounty hunters in their own heads. Psychological toll. You stop hearing words. You hear angles, motives, leaks, price tags. Financial reality. Your costs go up, your options go down. Fake names, quiet travel, temporary places, dead-end food, constant movement. You pay premium rates for the privilege of sleeping badly, and you are still near the bottom. That is what breaks people, not the top. The insult of realizing even the lower rungs are enough to ruin your life. Level 8. The screen begins to own you. Now your face circulates. News segments, online forums, lists, posts, comment sections full of strangers using your life as disposable entertainment. People start turning you into content. That is when the paranoia sharpens. Before, you were hiding from agencies. Now you are hiding from curiosity. Curiosity is worse. Agencies need rules. Curiosity just needs Wi-Fi. You cannot control old photos, old addresses, old lovers, old employers. The internet is a sewer with perfect memory. It drags your past back to the surface and nails it to a screen. Psychological toll, identity collapse. You no longer know whether people see you, the version on television, or the monster they built in their own head. Eventually, it does not matter. They all close the same doors. Financial cost, reward money rises, and with it, betrayal inflation. The more public your face gets, the more every relationship becomes a private auction. Level 7. You stop missing home because home is gone. At this rank, nostalgia becomes a liability. You cannot call the people you miss without imagining the line breathing back at you. You cannot revisit old neighborhoods without feeling the map tighten like wire. Streets remember, so do cameras, so do people with mortgages and bored afternoons. Home was never walls anyway. It was habit, predictability, knowing which stores stayed open late, knowing which floorboard creaked, knowing where your body could unclench. That is over now. The daily reality is nomadic rot, bags that never fully unpack, meals eaten standing up, curtains checked 3 times, exits counted on instinct. You begin arranging your whole existence around angles, timing, and silence. Psychological toll, you lose the ability to rest without guilt. Stillness feels like surrender. The lie at this level is that you are adapting. You are not adapting. You are shrinking. Level 6. Your circle turns carnivorous. Now the underworld part finally shows its teeth. This is where the mythology dies. No brotherhood, no code, no glamorous loyalty among wolves. Just appetite, just pressure, just men and women deciding whether your existence is still worth the heat attached to it. You become expensive to know. Anyone helping you absorbs risk without owning the story. They do not get your motives. They get your blast radius. Their rent can burn because of you. Their kids can get questioned because of you. Their own names can slide onto lists because of you. So the circle starts thinning, then bending, then feeding. Psychological toll, every act of kindness feels staged. Every favor feels pre-betrayal. You do not trust affection anymore because affection is how traps dress for dinner. Financial reality, resources collapse into survival spending. You are not investing in a future. You are renting fragments of a present. Level 5. You become the worst roommate in America. Halfway up the list, you are not living with people. You are infecting them. Anyone near you loses sleep, loses stability, loses innocence. You bring surveillance like secondhand smoke. You bring questions, suspicion, fear, sudden departures, erased messages, nervous lies, locked curtains in the middle of the day. You tell yourself you are protecting them by keeping details vague. That is another lie. Vagueness is not protection. It is just a slower poison. Psychological toll. Guilt starts mutating into numbness. You cannot afford remorse, so your mind converts it into hardness. Cheaper that way, easier to carry. And this is where people become cold for real. Not because they are born monsters, because empathy is a bad investment when every attachment becomes a liability. That is how the list steals your humanity. Not in one dramatic scene, in installments. Level 4. The rewards start speaking louder than you. At this rank, your face is worth enough that strangers begin imagining what they would buy with your ruin. Debt disappears. A car gets fixed. Tuition gets paid. Back rent gets erased. Your life becomes a solution to other people's problems. That changes the atmosphere everywhere. A clerk smiles too politely. A distant cousin suddenly remembers family. A former friend asks where you have been. A landlord becomes observant. A passerby looks twice. Maybe none of it means anything. Maybe all of it does. That is the torture. Not certainty, probability. Psychological toll. You become allergic to coincidence. The mind starts drawing lines between every loose dot. Soon the whole world looks like a net. There is no salary at this level, no upside. Just the knowledge that your continued survival depends on thousands of people deciding not to monetize your collapse for one more day. Level 3. You are larger than life and smaller than a cell. Now you are a national object. Coverage expands. Pressure expands. The file gets thicker. The mythology around you gets meaner, cleaner, simpler. People love simple monsters, easy to package, easy to hate, easy to sell. But your actual life is not cinematic. It is repetitive. Sweat, waiting, checking, flinching, silence. The same walls, the same stale air, the same acidic thought every morning. Who breaks first? You or the people around you? Psychological toll. Hypervigilance matures into permanent damage. Your body forgets how to stand down. Even safe moments feel counterfeit. At this point, power becomes a joke. You may be famous, you may be feared, but you are also one of the least free people in the country. That is the irony people click for. They expect power. What they get is a coffin with Wi-Fi. Level 2. The hunt becomes your only relationship. This is where the list stops being a list and becomes a mirror. You see what is left of yourself in the pursuit. Your shape exists only in opposition now. You move because they look. They look because you move. Your entire identity is built from pressure and reaction. You are no longer building a life. You are just interrupting capture. The day-to-day is spiritual starvation. No trust, no rhythm, no future tense. You cannot think in years, barely in weeks. The horizon has been repossessed. Psychological toll. The self starts fragmenting. You become roles, habits, precautions, reflexes. The original person gets buried under maintenance, and that is the hidden cost near the top. Not just fear of being caught, fear that there will be nothing left of you worth catching. Level 1. The most wanted. This is the peak people romanticize, the top spot, the headline, the ultimate symbol. The name people say with a mix of horror and fascination. From the outside, it looks like power. From the inside, it feels like being taxidermied alive. Everything narrows here. Every room is temporary. Every vehicle is suspicious. Every silence is heavy. Every familiar face is dangerous. You do not own your story anymore. The state wants it. The media rents it. The public consumes it. The underworld resents it. Everyone wants a piece of your ending. You are the 1% now, and the 1% at the top does what the 1% always does. They survive by pushing terror downward. Everyone beneath them absorbs the shock. Associates disappear, families crack, peripheral lives get flattened by the gravity of one central name. But there is still no throne here, no victory lap, no king's chair, just a shrinking map, a smaller room, a thinner circle, a shorter future. At number 1, the biggest cost is not capture. It is that you have finally climbed high enough to see the whole structure clearly. The list was never a ladder. It was a funnel. And every rank only trained you to mistake isolation for status. That is the darkest joke in the whole system. You keep rising in importance while collapsing as a human being. More famous, less real, more feared, less alive. Then one day the spiral closes, maybe through betrayal, maybe through exhaustion, maybe through one tiny mistake after 1,000 careful days. It usually is not dramatic, not thunder, not opera, just gravity collecting a debt. And in the final second, after all the motion, all the paranoia, all the money burned to stay uncaged a little longer, the truth lands with the elegance of a brick. You were never running toward freedom. You were just paying retail for a slower kind of prison. That is the story, a dark one, a brutal one. And for most people, thankfully, not a life they will ever touch. If this were a documentary series, which rank do you think would break someone first? The bottom where nobody cares yet, or the top where everybody does? Drop that in the comments and subscribe for more grim second-person stories from the worlds people romanticize and never really understand.